Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing another makeup tutorial, this time for Halloween. I got a request on TikTok actually to do a scary look, like a zombie look. So we are going to do a scary zombie look, but I'm going to make it as easy yet as scary as possible. I want to make sure everybody can do it. I have done a lot of research looking on Google and YouTube for different zombie looks so I could get some ideas. I did find one zombie YouTube tutorial, so full credit to her. She actually inspired the one that I'm about to do, and so did all of the ones that I found online. So my best tip is if you're ever not happy with something that you find online, take ideas from different sources and make it your own. Okay, so without further ado, let's hop right into it. Okay, so I put a little headband on my hair because I wanted to keep all of my hair out of my face to make sure that it doesn't get caught in any material that we're about to work with. We are going to use some liquid latex, so if your hair gets caught in it, it's kind of stuck there until you take the liquid latex off. So I want to make sure it's all pulled back from my face. So let's go ahead and go over the materials that you will need to complete today's look. So the first thing is kind of a big thing. It's some liquid latex. This is mine. You can see it even has a zombie on it. You can find these at Walmart, Amazon, pretty much anywhere. And the liquid latex is going to let us create our wounds so we can look like a really scary zombie. I'm not sure what specific materials I will use for sure, but these are some general ones I have ready just in case I need them or don't, at least they are ready. So the big one is this main squeeze palette from ColourPop. You can see it has a lot of reds, which we will need to get that bruised effect. Another eyeshadow palette I'm going to dip into is this Wet n Wild one. This is called the Night Squad, and this has like a black, silver, brown, kind of a light like off-white, and those will allow us to create more depth in our face. Even though they are supposed to be for your eyes, we're going to be using a lot of eyeshadows on our face. I'm also going to be using this big e.l.f. palette. It has 100 shades in it, so we're probably going to use some of the maybe blacks, grays, colors like that to get that really nice bruised dead effect to our face. And then I'm also going to be using some red and black cream makeup, and when you mix these two together you get a really bloody, bruised, almost burnt effect, and so that's going to help us make our wounds look more realistic. You're also going to need some foundation and like a concealer or foundation that's a little bit darker than your skin tone, and I will show you why once we get into it. Okay, so many makeup artists know that primer is usually a good idea before makeup because it helps kind of protect your skin, moisturize your skin, and lock that makeup in. But today I'm not going to be using any primer, and the reason for that is sometimes liquid latex and paints don't really stick well to primers, so you want to make sure your face is nice and dry. Plus some primers do have glitter or shiny effects to give your face a nice glow, and we want to look as dead as possible, so we are going to avoid those. I'm actually going to use these oil blotting sheets from Wet n Wild just to make sure any oily parts of my skin are dried up and that any part of my skin that might be glowy can be toned down a little bit, just so I can really look sunken in, dead, like a zombie. Okay, so this is what they look like. They're super cute and pink and have like cute little dots on them. I'm going to tear it in half. That's not half, but it's close. And I'm going to use this part because I don't need a ton. I'm just going to put it over my face, make sure any oil, especially on my nose, is getting wiped up. And I'm just going to blot my face just to make sure that it's as dry as possible. Now it is a little bit hard to see, but you can tell kind of right in here, it got a lot of oil off my face, so now I can trust that my face is really dry and ready to begin. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is take a nice big fluffy blending brush so we can use some different eyeshadows to start working on those bruises and sunken in parts of the face. So using my main squeeze palette from ColourPop, I'm going to go ahead and use this shade. This is called Red Bottoms, and this has a nice deep red color, but it's not like bright red to make it look like blood. We just want to work on the bruises, and this one will allow us to have that sunken in first layer. And then if we want to brighten it up later, we can go in with this color, but since we are going to be using that red cream paint, we want to focus on that being the brighter red color so it can really draw attention to the blood side of things and make this look more sunken in, bruised, and dead. Okay, so I'm just going to start working this into my crease just to start blending it out, and we can always deepen it if we would like to, and we can also move downwards a little bit just to really blend it out. And then I'm going to take that same color and basically just start working it into my eye socket, and this is going to come to about right here because that's where my eye socket is. Everybody's is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so that should be good for the first layer of that color. Remember, it does not have to be blended completely. You can blend it a little extra if you'd like, but it does not have to be perfect and it does not have to be even. You're trying to look dead, not like you're, on the red carpet. So just make it look really natural. Okay, so these two grays right here are going to be the next colors we use to add some depth. I'm going to start with the light one, and then if I feel like I need a little bit more depth, we can go ahead and go into the darker gray. We just want to use that same blending brush as before and just start blending it into the red. Okay, so taking the same brush and a little bit more of Red Bottoms from that main squeeze palette, I'm basically going to put this everywhere I would contour. So I'm going to smile, and I have a little line right here, and that's where I usually contour. So I'm going to start working it up here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring it down a little bit to sharpen up those cheekbones. I'm just going to go ahead and start blending that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that same gray shade as before, and I'm going to go ahead and blend this into the previous shade of red along my face. Okay, so I mixed the light and the dark gray, and I'm pinching my brush like that so I can start on the contour of my nose. Instead of using bronzer or a deep color, we're going to use those gray shades to really give that sunken in look. Okay, so one thing you're probably noticing is the cheekbones aren't completely even. We can go in later and touch that up if we want to, but remember, this does not have to be perfect or even. I also want to go back to what I said earlier about that YouTube video I watched. A lot of my inspiration is coming from that lady and her video, so please go check her out. I'm giving full credit. I am using her ideas in my own way, so please just know that she's the one who inspired it. So the last thing I think I'll do is use this black shade here to add a little bit more depth to my eyes and contour. I'll probably mainly focus this on my cheeks and eyes and not so much up here. Okay guys, so the next thing we're going to start on is that liquid latex. Another reason that I mentioned we don't have to get the cheeks completely perfect is not only because zombies are dead, but also because part of our wounds are actually going to be covering up our cheeks. So don't worry about perfection. Just get it generally in the ballpark and you'll be good to go. Okay guys, so this is what the liquid latex looks like. It's very light. So I'm just going to take a brush and go ahead and get just some. And I did use this before for liquid latex, so it's still kind of dried on it. So one thing that you can do is use eyeliner or some sort of pencil to map out where you want your wound, but I just want to go off the cuff. So I'm just going to start dabbing around and really just not worry about making it perfect, because in the end it's supposed to look very jagged, very open and fresh. Okay, so it's starting to dry and it's going to turn into more of a skin color as it dries. So you want to work kind of fast. So you're going to take a tissue and split it just like that. And then you just tear that one layer about to the size of your wound. So just kind of like that. And go ahead and just tear it so it's the right size. And go ahead and just stick it to your face just like that. And so you can see this is gonna be, I want it to be a really big wound, and then in other areas I'll make my wound smaller, but I wanted just a really big wound over here. And again, make sure your hair is out of the way. And we're going to take some more liquid latex and we're going to just gently pull this at the edges. Because what this is doing is it's acting as an adhesive, as glue. And this is going to help stick it to your face so that it doesn't peel up. So you really want to focus on those outer corners, and it's okay if it gets a little bit messed up because wounds are not perfect. And just continue to drag it outward so that as it dries to your face. And then I like to put some over the entire tissue just to give it some adhesive for the next layer. Okay, so while that's drying, just go ahead and stick another layer directly on top of it, and we're going to repeat that process with the liquid latex. You can repeat this as many times as you want to get the thickness that you desire. So this is going to help it look like pretty much my entire cheek is rotting out. So you want to be really careful that you don't talk too much or get your brush stuck in it. That way it doesn't disrupt it. There are going to be some air bubbles, but that just creates some more depth. And as it dries, it's going to turn into more of a skin color. So you just want to be patient. It shouldn't take too long. And then once it's dried, I will be back so we can do the next step. Okay, so since it is almost dry, I'm going to take some loose powder and you just put that right over all of it, and that will help dry it up and kind of mattify it a little bit. Now I'm just going to put some of that loose powder over the rest of my face just to give that chalky impression and just kind of blend it out so I look a little bit extra pale. Okay, so I like to double up, and what I mean by that is you're supposed to use a darker shade to help darken the white parts of this, and then your foundation to make it look like your skin. But what I did the last time that I did liquid latex is I put some of my foundation on first just to create a good base, and then I went ahead and did the other two steps. See how that made it look a little bit more realistic, but you can still tell it's not part of my skin. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this beige concealer from LA Colors, and I'm just going to put that all over, and then just blend that out, and that's going to bring down that white factor of the tissue and make it look a little bit more like my skin. Okay, so now I'm just going to take that same brush as before and just kind of blend on the outer parts of this to bring that depth back into my face at least a little bit. Now I'm just cutting a strip in this. You want to be very careful with this, and remember your skin is still under there, so don't just go wildly poking around. Be very careful. Okay, so I used some clippers as well to help tear it open because those scissors weren't the best, but I got my general area where I want the wound, the open part of the wound, to be. Okay, so I mixed some of that red and black cream paint on a plate, and I mixed it a little bit with this brush, and I'm just gonna go in there and just mainly focus on the black with a little bit of red for now, just to add that gory depth. And you want to bring that out just a little bit, just to start creating that illusion of a deep wound. And you can see I have a little bit of that latex peeling over here, and that's how I want it to be. And I'm just going to tap like around it, and it's okay if it's not perfect because I'm going to take some more of that paint and just keep working on adding that depth. Now I'm gonna start adding some of that red for the blood effect. I'm gonna bring it all the way to the edge of the latex, just getting lighter as I go, and a little ways onto the skin as well, because we want to make it look like a little bit of blood spatter and a lot of decay. So by adding all that depth and just continuing it outwards, and with each layer starting at the end of that layer and just building on it, that's how you get this super bloody effect. And you don't have to have fake blood to do it, because I did this with literally 2 cream paints, and I'm sure you could do it with whatever items you have at home if you just add enough depth and kind of use a lot of principles from like painting or drawing if you do that, and just keep working it around. Okay, so I think that cheek is pretty good, so now we can go ahead and work on where we want our other wounds. Okay guys, so the last thing to do is use some foundation or concealer. I'm going to use this Wet n Wild concealer to cover our lips, because if we're dead, we really need to be extremely pale. I'm going to go ahead and add some of this pressed powder as well, just to really mattify and pale down my face. I'm adding just a little bit of gray to my lips because of the lack of color and lack of blood. So eventually they're gonna look a little bit gray, and I'm gonna add a little bit of the dark gray under my lip just to really deepen the shape of my face. Okay guys, and this is it. This is the final look. You can also feel free to bring it down your neck if you want, do some neck wounds. I just wanted to focus on my face. And like I said, some parts aren't blended all the way, some parts might be a little uneven or messy, but it's supposed to be like that, guys. You're a zombie, you're dead. So I hope this is the scary zombie tutorial that you were hoping for. If it is not, please let me know and I will do another one, taking any suggestions you guys may have or requests for future videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!